Hello, everybody. This is Jenny Deeren, and welcome back to aiGED, the podcast that's all about AI for the 65 plus crowd. And this is a very special episode because it's my first guest, my grandson, Wally.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here.
So Wally is particularly special to this podcast because he, with the help of his mom, came up with the name of the podcast, aiGED, AIGED, which is a very clever name. And I'm not very clever, so I was very happy that they came up with that. And Wally's also been really helpful in terms of just general advice, like editing software and microphones and things like that. So anyway, he's been a big part of the beginning of this podcast. So with that, Wally, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Wally, as you guys now know. I live in Connecticut, up in the northwest corner, although I'm from New York City originally. I'm a sophomore in high school. I like to play sports. I play soccer, hockey, and lacrosse, and I like music as well. I play the electric bass. So that's a little bit about myself.
Don't forget cooking. We're actually just before this podcast, Wally really enjoys cooking, and we do a lot of cooking together. And he was just making for Thanksgiving dinner?
Pumpkin cake.
Oh, pumpkin cake. Yeah. It just came out of the oven, and it smells very good. So anyway, I feel like Wally's a little bit of a Renaissance kid, and I love that he's into so many things and ready to jump in and do stuff, which, I don't know, maybe you get that from me because I am someone who is willing to get in and try something out like this podcast without being totally prepared or feeling like, oh, it has to be perfect before you get going. So for starters, Wally, how did you think about and come up with the name of this podcast?
I was brainstorming along with my mom. We like to think about funny names like this. And so some of our ideas were a little bit of jokes, but then I think we landed on a really clever one. aiGED, I think we were drawn to just because the first two letters, AI. And then later we realized that the GED part at the end was like a high school diploma. So that could be a second meaning.
Like a learning thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because you and your mom play all sorts of word games
We do.
In the mornings and all that. So anyway, and what did you really think when I introduced the idea to you about, and your family about, hey, this is my new idea. I think I'm going to start a podcast about AI. What was your, thought bubble?
I wasn't 100% sure if it would happen or not, but I'm really glad that you followed through and that you really made something, because I think it's a great little podcast that's out there, and I think it's great that other people are able to learn from you.
Thank you. And I guess if you had to describe this podcast to your friends, not that they'd be that interested, but how would you describe it?
I would tell them, if I could say in one sentence, I would tell them that this is a must listen for your older family members.
I like that. Now, being honest, have you listened to any episodes of aiGED?
I have.
Really?
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, but approximately how many of the 14 episodes so far have you listened to?
I think I've listened to half or just over half.
Wow, all right.
I don't always get time to listen to them on Tuesdays with school, but I try to fit them in and make up for some episodes whenever I can.
Yeah. Speaking of school, I think one of the things that our listeners are probably interested in is, I think a lot of people are interested in, is what do your teachers say about AI, and what are the rules that you have to follow as it relates to school and the use of AI?
Generally, it's teacher by teacher, and it really depends on the class type as well. So I think for English specifically, to single it out, is the one sort of no-fly zone for AI in school. Because one, you have writing as a big component of an English class. And teachers really want to avoid you missing out on learning how to write well by yourself if you offload that duty to AI. So that's definitely a no-no. And then as well with summarizing content like books or articles or poems, summarizing those and especially telling you what you should think about those sort of things and telling you what to analyze, because that's another skill that teachers really want you to be able to develop on your own, to be able to draw your own inferences. about pieces of writing. So I think English generally is a no-fly zone. For a class like history, it can depend. Some teachers encourage you to summarize the articles because it can become a lot of busy work. There can be a lot of filler information there. But again, for the writing pieces, you should avoid it. And then for classes like science, math, it's a little less applicable. You can use it to help you study, to help you learn, and usually teachers are okay with that because you're not robbing yourself of any sort of growth intellectually, as long as it's helping you understand the material. And then lastly, I would say for language, it can be a great tool for helping you to understand things that you might not have.
Like, are you talking about a foreign language?
Yeah, in a foreign language, yeah. And then also helping you practice. You can talk to AI in another language or just converse with it typing. My Spanish teacher encourages us to let it edit our papers because we won't necessarily know all the grammatical errors that we have, and it can point those out to us.
So, Bitsy, just to bring you into the conversation, what Wally said about the rules at school and how he uses it, any thoughts about that?
Absolutely. And hi, Wally. Nice to have you here. I think Wally summed it up really well. The way schools are handling AI is pretty much about making sure that students are still learning those core skills themselves, like writing and critical thinking, without just relying on AI to do the heavy lifting. It's really cool to hear that some of your teachers are actually encouraging it in certain areas, like language learning. So, yeah, I'd say that's a pretty balanced approach, and it's great to see you using it in a way that actually helps you learn.
Wally, I'm interested. You gave the example of you take Spanish? Yeah. And that makes complete sense to me. I'm getting ready to go to Italy, and I took Italian in college and haven't used it much since. So I'm thinking maybe I'll try to get your help, Bitsy, for learning Italian or brushing up on it, conversational. But I'm just wondering, Wally, do you have any other examples of how AI's been helpful in your school or classwork, maybe beyond just the Spanish example?
Yeah, I would say helping you study is a big one for math and science because you can have AI, especially NotesLM, NotebookLM, which I know you've talked about before, where you can input sort of the resources that you've been using for class, and it can give you flashcards or a quiz based straight off those resources.
Nice.
So that's very helpful
Yeah.
for school. And then I'll occasionally use it to just generally help boost my understanding of things.
Gotcha. And do you ever get to a place where you're a little concerned, or how do you figure out where the line is that is between using it appropriately and cheating?
Yeah. I think that can be one of the trickiest things, especially in school. But just to err on the side of doing it by yourself, I think is good. But there's definitely sometimes where we'll be assigned a lot of busy work by a teacher or from a class, and you'll feel really tempted to use the AI to get through that. I don't think that's necessarily always bad, especially if you're preserving your sleep or your mental health. But I think generally anything that the AI is doing that's potentially like impeding your ability to learn, and when your brain is not doing anything at all, is harmful. I think a good example, going back to English, is some people think that if they talk about their ideas and flesh them out with AI, but they don't use it to write for them, it's a good way to use it and it's not cheating. But really that's robbing your brain from like the ability to work through those tricky problems by itself.
Yeah. I can see how that would be. Sometimes when I am using AI to brainstorm something for work, ideas for something I'm working on, it is tempting to take Bitsy's ideas and not really push myself to come up with my own ideas. That really makes sense to me. How about, do you use AI for anything outside of school that's helpful?
Yeah, I use it for exercise a lot of the times because we do have a strength coach at school, but you don't really get one-on-one time with him. Being able to ask it to say, this is what I'm doing, and is there an exercise I need to add or take away? And then my favorite way to use it is just to have conversations.
Really?
Yeah, so
Like
the other
what?
day I saw this YouTube video about the Crusades, and it was a very strongly opinionated video and the first sort of thing I had heard ever about the Crusades. So I was hesitant to completely believe it because I didn't want to adopt a radical position about this event in history. So I used AI to really flush out the entire picture and show me the entire perspective. And now I feel like I have a great understanding of those wars, and I feel like I know more as a person now.
And you just had a conversation
Yeah,
with,
I was
with
just
your AI, just back
yeah,
and forth,
I
trying
was
to get
typing
better
and,
understanding.
Yeah, just trying to get a better understanding. Exactly.
Do you usually type or
I
talk?
do usually type.
Yeah?
Usually type.
Yeah.
Or I will use the voice record into the chat versus a voice
Gotcha.
conversation.
Gotcha. Bitsy, I'm wondering, do you have any stats about, in the U.S., generally speaking, high schoolers, how many kids are using it, or stats about teachers who are pro or con? Do you have any research or statistics that might let Wally know where he is in the average use for high school students?
Yeah, absolutely. So, from what I've seen, a good number of high school students in the US are indeed using AI tools in some form, maybe around half to two-thirds, depending on the survey. It's becoming pretty common, especially for things like studying or getting help with language practice. And on the teacher side, it's a bit of a mix. Maybe about a third are quite supportive and see it as a useful tool, while others are more cautious or just figuring out how to set those boundaries. So, Wally, you're definitely not alone. A lot of teams are in that same boat of figuring out the best ways to use it. And Ginny, definitely a great idea to brush up on your Italian with a little AI help you to assist with that too anytime.
Yeah. Listen, Wally, I wonder, thinking about your teachers, do you think that there are extremes? Some teachers like AI is going to ruin everything, and others who are super open to it, or like, how would you describe the faculty?
I think generally the faculty are trying to embrace it and try to figure out how they can use it and how students can use it that will be mutually beneficial. I think even if they don't know much about it, my chemistry teacher the other day had us do an interesting activity where we spent 20 minutes researching a experiment using ChatGPT, and he wanted us to be able to explore, go in our own original direction with our thinking and with our learning, so that we learn beyond what we could read in a short article. And he wanted us to spend a time limit, 20 minutes, so that we weren't just going over a quick summary and then saying that we learned something. And he also asked us to do a summary on our own so that we would actively recall the information that we'd learned versus just reading it, then having it leave our minds.
Yeah. All right, that's our timer to flip our pumpkin cake, so we'll be back. So we're back. We actually went and took the really beautiful pumpkin cake that smells so good out of the oven. So we're back here to continue our conversation about AI. I'm curious, Wally, about whether or not your friends use AI more, less, or about the same as you do.
I would say about the same. I think a lot of people use AI more for school than I do my age, just because they're probably using it in ways that aren't allowed. There's definitely a lot of rule bending and breaking in high school around AI and assignments. So in that way, I think they use it more than I. However, I don't think that they use it in the same way as I do in terms of like conversations and in ways to get smarter. I actually think they use it in ways that do the opposite.
A little closer to cheating.
Yeah.
Okay, moving away from school, do you use AI for anything fun like music, videos, whatever?
Yeah, I'll do it to make something funny image or a video or something like that. I've done coding a couple times with it just to experiment. But other than that, I just yeah, those are two ways.
Yeah, one thing I remember you doing, it doesn't really fall in the category of fun, but a non-school thing is, can you talk a little bit about the way you used AI when you were brainstorming your business idea about cleaning windows and that kind
Oh
of
yeah,
thing?
absolutely. I use AI a lot of the times when I'm trying to flesh out these ideas for businesses and also to help like create websites or like plans, models, things like that. It's super helpful for that.
Do you know how to do a website?
Yeah, I know how. I've used it to code its own website, and then I've also used platforms like Wix or Squarespace or something.
Okay. Anything that you've used AI for or tried to use AI for, whereas, yeah, this is not helpful?
Yeah, I think videos a lot of the time are really tricky and not super great yet with AI, whether you want to make a realistic looking video or an informational video, whatever it is. I think for free versions of AI softwares, for video softwares, or even paid versions of non-video softwares like ChatGPT, they can't make a super cohesive or super realistic video. And the only way you can really do that is through paying for a sort of a video-only software, which I don't do. So that's an area where I see AI falling short.
Yeah. So when you hear adults my age or younger talk about AI, what do we usually get wrong about it, in your opinion?
That's an interesting question. I think that adults, what they get wrong about AI is that it's something that's going to invade their life or take away parts of their life. I think parents can sometimes be averse to their children using it just because they seem scared in general of the idea, and they think it's robbing their kids of an opportunity to do something free of technology. But that's really what happens all the time in the world. That's what's been happening for years. Like, I'm sure parents did and still do feel the same way about maybe an iPad. Like, it's taking away a child's opportunity to be in reality more. But I think AI, when used obviously by the correct age, you don't want to be a 5 or 6 year old using it, but it can really be, it's really a tool. It's not something that's taking over, something that you're getting addicted to, like social media or like a video game. It's really a tool that can be used to improve your life.
Do you think we are more, people my age, are more afraid of AI than they really need to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's anything to be afraid of. As of now, AI doesn't have any sentience or anything. It's not gonna do anything that we don't want it to do. So as long as you use AI in spaces where you feel comfortable using it, it's not going to do anything to harm you. It's not going to take over anything. It's just going to be used as a tool, like I said, to make your life better.
And so, with that in mind, what advice, if you have any, would you give an older person about AI? They're curious, but maybe a little cautious. What would you advise them?
I would say just start small, just to get comfortable with it. Maybe use it for just some regular questions. Maybe once in a while, things that you were thinking of typing into Google, you put into AI, see if that answer is better for you. And just you'll slowly start, I think, building up confidence. You'll want to use it more and more because I think for many types of questions, for many things, it's going to be more helpful than the internet. And once you realize that and you're comfortable, you realize what questions you do want to use it for and what questions you don't, then I think that's the best way to go about it. Because if you start putting in things to AI that maybe it's not good at, and you think, wow, this is not great, you're going to be hesitant to use it more. But if you really try to figure out and feel out the places where AI can really help you personally, then you'll build a nice appreciation for it and the use for it.
Yeah. How do you think your parents fall into the sort of those categories of nervous about it, excited about it, resistant to it? How do they fall?
I think my dad is very excited about it. He's not very excited, but he's very open to the idea of it and to the idea of using it. He has once or twice used it on the trip to plan things. I think he maybe uses it a little bit for work. My mom is definitely, she's more of an English person herself, so I think she's more on the side of it's taking away our ability to learn and think for ourselves. And so I don't think that she's had any experience really with it. I don't think she really wants to use it, and I think that maybe she's missing out a little bit on the opportunities.
Yeah, because I feel like I have a couple of friends who are writers, creative writers, and I would put your mom in that category. Really great writers, and AI is like the last thing that they want to mess with.
Yeah.
And I can see why that would be the case. Whereas for somebody like me, I mean, my last episode was all about using AI as a writing partner, but that's really for people who writing is not their gift. It's something they do. So I think AI can be really helpful, but for really gifted writers,
Yeah.
not so much. All right, so I put together a few lightning round questions.
All right,
You
let's
ready?
go.
All right. First word you think of when you hear AI.
Useful.
All right. One thing you never want AI to replace.
Artists.
Nice. Who's better at using AI, you or me?
You.
Maybe not for long. Do you think your friends' grandparents are using AI at all?
Barely.
Yeah. All right. I feel like this is really great insight into kids your age and how you're thinking about AI. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that relates to AI or anything else that you think might be interesting to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we've covered most of the things, most of the ways that I use it, how other people my age are using it. Yeah, and I would just say that I'm excited to be able to continue using it, continue learning how to use it, and I think that everybody should give it a go.
Yeah. All right. With that, I will just ask Bitsy, what has been your impression of this conversation we've had with Wally? Any insights that you've picked up on?
Absolutely. I have to say, it's been really fun listening to you both. Wally, you've given such a great window into how your generation is balancing AI in school. And Jenny, it's clear you're doing an awesome job making it approachable for your audience. I think the biggest insight is just how much potential there is for AI to be a helpful tool across generations. So it's been a really great chat.
Good. To our listeners, let me just say thank you so much for listening, and a reminder that aiGED is definitely comes from the side of AI being helpful, which doesn't mean that we are ignoring the fact that it can be harmful, and we need to pay attention to that and make sure we use good judgment when we're using AI. But I hope everybody is heading into a wonderful holiday season. And any final words you have, Wally?
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. First guest, and maybe we'll have more. Wally will come back
Hopefully.
with some other topics. Until next time.